The text message came at 2:47 a.m. Can't sleep. Going for a drive. Don't wait up. It would be the last message 23-year-old Emma Hartley would ever send. But here's what police didn't know at first. Emma never sent that message. She was already dead when those words appeared on her phone. When officers arrived at the upscale apartment Emma shared with her best friend in Portland, Oregon, they expected to find a missing person case. Maybe a young woman who had too much to drink. Maybe a mental health crisis. What they found instead was something far more sinister. A crime scene so meticulously staged that it took investigators 3 days to realize they were even looking at one. This is the story of the perfect roommate. The person you trust with your spare key, your Netflix password, and your deepest secrets. The person who knows your schedule better than you do. The person who is always there when you need them. Until the day they decide you are in their way. October 3, 2023. A Monday morning in Portland's Pearl District. Emma's colleagues at the tech startup where she works as a graphic designer are confused. She has missed her 9 a.m. stand-up meeting. No call. No text. Emma never misses meetings. By noon, her manager tries calling. Voicemail. He texts. No response. He reaches out to Emma's emergency contact, her roommate and best friend since college, 24-year-old Sophie Chen. Hi, I'm calling about my roommate. Her work called me and she never showed up today. I'm really worried. Sophie tells the 911 operator. Last night around 10, she said she was going to bed early. But this morning her bedroom door was open and she wasn't there. Her car is gone too. Officers arrive within 20 minutes. Sophie meets them at the door of the modern apartment building, her face etched with concern. She is wearing yoga pants and an oversized sweatshirt, her hair pulled back in a messy bun. I already checked everywhere, Sophie tells them, her voice shaking slightly. I called all her friends. Nobody has seen her since yesterday. Officers ask to look around. Sophie immediately agrees. Of course, whatever you need. I just want to make sure she is okay. The apartment is immaculate. Minimalist furniture. Plants thriving in every corner. Everything in its place. Emma's bedroom shows no signs of disturbance. The bed is made. Clothes are neatly folded. Her laptop sits closed on her desk. Officer Martinez notices something interesting. Did Emma usually make her bed this perfectly? Sophie nods. She was kind of obsessive about it. She said it helped her mental health to wake up to a clean room. There are no signs of a struggle. No forced entry. Nothing missing except Emma herself and her car, a silver Honda Civic. Then Sophie shows them the text message. The one sent at 2:47 a.m. Can't sleep. Going for a drive. Don't wait up. That's so unlike her, Sophie says, wrapping her arms around herself. Emma hates driving at night. She has terrible night vision. She will not even go to the grocery store after dark. Officers note this detail. They run Emma's plates, issue a bolo for her vehicle, and classify this as a missing person case. Standard procedure. They tell Sophie to call if Emma returns or makes contact. As they are leaving, Martinez glances back at Sophie standing in the doorway. Something nags at him, but he cannot put his finger on what. She seems appropriately worried. Cooperative. Helpful. Too helpful, maybe. 3 days pass. Emma's car is found abandoned in a supermarket parking lot 30 miles outside Portland. The doors are unlocked. Keys in the ignition. Her purse is in the passenger seat, wallet and phone inside. But no Emma. Detective Sarah Kim is assigned to the case. A 15-year veteran of missing persons, Kim has seen enough cases to know that the first 48 hours are critical. They are now at 72 hours. The statistics are not good. Kim starts where all good investigations start, with the people closest to the victim. She sits down with Sophie Chen for a formal interview. Sophie, I know you have already spoken with officers, but I need to go through everything again. Walk me through the last time you saw Emma, Detective Kim begins. It was Sunday night. We had just finished watching a movie together. Around 9:30, she said she was tired and went to her room. I stayed up watching another episode of something, and then I went to bed around 11, Sophie responds calmly. Did you hear anything unusual during the night? Kim asks. No. Nothing. I'm a pretty heavy sleeper though. I take melatonin, Sophie explains. And Emma's door was open in the morning? Kim presses. Yeah. That is what worried me. She always closes it because the morning light bothers her. Everything Sophie says makes sense. Her timeline checks out. Her demeanor is exactly what you would expect from a worried friend. Detective Kim thanks her and moves on to other leads. But then a break. The supermarket security footage. Analysts review hundreds of hours of tape from the night Emma disappeared. At 3:17 a.m., just 30 minutes after the final text message, Emma's silver Honda pulls into the parking lot. The figure gets out, wearing a dark hoodie pulled low. Close. They move quickly, wiping down the door handles, leaving the keys, locking the purse inside. The walk is purposeful, practiced. The figure heads toward the main road and disappears into the darkness. The camera angle is poor. No facial features visible. But Detective Kim notices something. The build. The height. The gait. Can we enhance this? She asks the tech. They zoom in on the person's shoes. White Nike sneakers with a distinctive yellow swoosh. High-top style. Relatively uncommon. Kim flips through her notes from the apartment visit. There is a photo taken by officers during the initial welfare check. Shoes lined up by the front door. She enlarges it on her computer screen. The white Nike high tops. Yellow swoosh. Sophie's shoes. Detective Kim does not jump to conclusions. Similar shoes are sold everywhere. It could be coincidence, but she has learned to trust her instincts. She digs deeper into Sophie and Emma's relationship. On the surface, they are best friends. Met freshman year at Portland State. Moved in together after graduation. Inseparable according to mutual friends. But when Kim starts interviewing people individually, cracks appear. Emma's coworker Rachel shares something interesting. Emma mentioned she was thinking about moving out. She said Sophie had become kind of intense, checking her location constantly. Getting weird if Emma made plans without her. Emma's sister, Jessica, adds more. Emma told me Sophie had been borrowing money. Small amounts at first, then larger sums. Emma was too nice to say no, but it was adding up. She had lent Sophie almost $8,000 over the past year. An ex-boyfriend from college reveals more. Sophie was always around. Like always. Even when Emma and I were trying to have private time, Sophie would text constantly. It became a real issue in our relationship. The picture emerging is troubling. Sophie was not just Emma's roommate and best friend. She was dependent on her. Financially, emotionally, completely. And recently, that dynamic had started to shift. Detective Kim obtains warrants for both Emma's and Sophie's phone records, social media accounts, and financial transactions. What she finds makes her blood run cold. Emma's phone shows something disturbing. In the weeks before her disappearance, she had been researching how to set boundaries with a codependent friend, ending a friendship gracefully, breaking a lease early, studio apartments downtown Portland. Emma had been planning to leave, to move out, to end the friendship that Sophie depended on for everything. Sophie's search history is even more revealing. Signs someone is going to abandon you, how to stop a friend from moving out, sleeping medications that cause amnesia, how long until a missing person is presumed dead. That last search was conducted 2 weeks before Emma disappeared. Kim feels the case shift beneath her feet. This is not a missing person case anymore. This is a homicide. She just needs to prove it. Detective Kim brings Sophie in for another interview. This time, it's not voluntary. Sophie arrives with a lawyer, immediately raising red flags. Sophie, we have found some inconsistencies in your statement. I would like to give you a chance to clarify, Detective Kim states firmly. I've told you everything I know, Sophie replies coldly. Have you? Because we have security footage from the supermarket where Emma's car was found. The person who abandoned that car was wearing shoes identical to yours, Kim reveals. Sophie's face remains neutral, but her lawyer leans in, whispering. We also have Emma's phone records. She was planning to move out, wasn't she? You were about to lose your best friend. Your financial support. Everything you depended on, Kim continues. I want to stop this interview, Sophie finally says. But Kim is not done. She lays out photographs on the table. Emma's search history. Sophie's search history. Timeline breakdowns. The shoes. Emma trusted you, Kim says quietly. She let you into her home, into her life, and you repaid that trust by taking everything from her. Sophie's composure finally cracks. Just for a second, a flicker of something crosses her face. Anger. Her lawyer ends the interview. Over the next weeks, the case against Sophie Chen solidifies. Forensic teams return to the apartment with luminol. In Sophie's bathroom, not Emma's, they find traces of blood. Emma's blood. Analysis of Sophie's computer reveals deleted files. Draft documents that were never sent. One in particular stops the investigation team in their tracks. It is written in Emma's voice. A goodbye letter explaining that she needed to get away, to clear her head, that nobody should worry about her. The metadata shows it was created on Sophie's laptop 2 days before Emma disappeared. Sophie had been planning this, preparing, creating a narrative where Emma left voluntarily. The toxicology report from blood found in the bathroom reveals traces of zolpidem, also known as Ambien, a sleeping medication that Sophie had a prescription for. Investigators theorized the sequence of events. Sophie drugged Emma, likely in a drink that Sunday evening. Once Emma was unconscious, Sophie killed her in the bathroom. She then staged Emma's room to look undisturbed, created the text message from Emma's phone, and drove Emma's car to the supermarket, where she abandoned it before walking to a nearby bus stop. But one crucial piece is missing: Emma's body. Detective Kim gets a call from an unexpected source. Sophie's therapist. Under Oregon's mandatory reporting law for imminent danger, the therapist reveals that Sophie had made vague statements during a session about making sure Emma could never leave. More importantly, the therapist mentions that Sophie had spoken about a family cabin in the Cascade Mountains, a remote property that had belonged to her grandparents, a place she described as where you could disappear forever. Kim obtains property records. The cabin exists 2 hours from Portland, accessible only by logging road. She assembles a search team. Breaking news tonight. Portland police, along with FBI investigators, have discovered human remains at a remote cabin in the Cascade Mountains. Sources close to the investigation confirm the remains are believed to be those of missing graphic designer Emma Hartley. Emma's body is found buried behind the cabin. She had been dead before the text message was ever sent. Sophie had driven her body to the cabin in Emma's own car that Sunday night, returned to Portland, slept a few hours, then driven back in the early morning to abandon the car at Walmart. It was almost perfect. Almost. Sophie Chen is arrested and charged with first-degree murder. The trial captivates Portland. How could a best friend become a killer? Prosecutors present a case of obsession, codependency, and premeditated murder. Sophie could not handle the thought of Emma leaving. Rather than lose her friend, she decided to eliminate her. In March 2024, Sophie Chen is convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. At sentencing, Emma's mother reads a victim impact statement. "Sophie, you took everything from us. You took our daughter, our sister, our friend, and you did it while pretending to search for her, while accepting our hugs, while crying on our shoulders. That betrayal, that cruelty, is something we will never understand." Sophie shows no emotion as she is led away. The case serves as a chilling reminder that danger does not always come from strangers in dark alleys. Sometimes it comes from the person you trust most. The person who knows your routine, your passwords, your fears. Detective Kim reflects on the case. The hardest part was realizing that Emma had been in danger the entire time, and the person she turned to for safety was the one who wanted to hurt her. Trust is a weapon, and in the wrong hands, it is deadly. Emma Hartley was 23 years old. She loved design, coffee shops, and rainy Portland mornings. She was kind to everyone she met. Too kind, perhaps, to someone who did not deserve it. We offer our deepest condolences to the family and friends of Emma Hartley, taken far too soon by someone she called her best friend. If someone in your life makes you uncomfortable, trust your instincts. If you feel controlled, monitored, or trapped, reach out for help. Real friends support your independence. They do not try to cage it. Emma Hartley's life mattered, and her story serves as a warning. The perfect roommate does not exist. And sometimes, the person closest to you is the most dangerous of all.